November 9th, 1910. A bone-chilling night in rural Kentucky. John Blackburn, a once strong farmer, lies motionless in his bed, his body ravaged by a mysterious illness that has left him paralyzed, his lungs filling with fluid, his skin turning the color of spoiled milk. 5 doctors have examined him. All 5 have given up. His wife Mary kneels weeping by his bedside, preparing to say goodbye, when suddenly she remembers the rumors. The whispers about a man in Virginia Beach who could diagnose the sick while in a trance state. With trembling hands, she writes a desperate letter, not knowing this decision will change medical history forever. 2 weeks later, in a small photography studio 500 miles away, Edgar Cayce, a man who'd never set foot in Kentucky, never met John Blackburn, never seen his medical charts, lies down on a couch, folds his hands over his stomach, and enters the deepest trance his assistants had ever witnessed. His breathing slows to just 3 breaths per minute. His pulse drops to near undetectable levels. And then, in a voice not his own, he begins speaking with terrifying precision. The 4th dorsal vertebra has partially dislocated, compressing nerves at T4, T5 level. This is causing, and here Cayce lists every one of John's symptoms perfectly before prescribing an impossible remedy: wild chestnut leaves, harvested at dawn from the eastern slope of Black Mountain, soaked in apple brandy for exactly 7 hours, applied as a poultice while a licensed osteopath performs the following adjustment. Here's what makes this case shatter everything we know about reality. When Mary Blackburn finally found those exact chestnut leaves, which only grow in one remote part of Kentucky, and when the local doctor reluctantly performed that exact adjustment, John Blackburn sat up in bed 48 hours later, completely healed. The same man who was preparing his will was splitting firewood by week's end. A library that recorded every human thought, every soul's journey, every herb's healing properties, across all of time. He called it the Akashic Records. And today, for the first time on any platform, we're going to dissect Cayce's original trance transcripts line by line. We'll examine not 1, not 2, but 7 verified medical miracles that will make your hair stand on end. We'll show you the exact readings where Cayce described the quantum nature of consciousness 80 years before physicists discovered it. And in the second episode, we'll reveal the forbidden trance technique Cayce used to access these records, a method so precise the CIA would later classify it under Project Gateway as dimensional consciousness penetration. This isn't spirituality. This is documented history. And if you're ready to have your understanding of reality permanently altered, subscribe now, because what comes next will rewrite everything you thought you knew about human potential. To understand the full magnitude of Cayce's discovery, we must journey back to 1910, when his readings were strictly medical. The case files from this period read like something from science fiction. Case number 1. In 1918, a blind girl named Amy Dietrich is brought to Cayce. Under trance, he states her blindness is caused by nerve pressure from a childhood fever, and prescribes eye washes made from gold chloride solution. When doctors protest that gold chloride could be dangerous, Cayce specifies the exact dilution: 1 part gold chloride to 10,000 parts distilled water. The result? After 3 weeks of treatment, Amy, blind since age 3, begins distinguishing colors for the first time. Case number 2, 1924. A woman dying from tuberculosis receives a reading specifying she must sleep outdoors in a tent for exactly 6 months, while taking a tonic of wild huckleberry extract mixed with grain alcohol. Her doctors call it madness. 6 months later, her x-rays show no trace of TB. But here's where the story takes a quantum leap. By the late 1920s, something extraordinary began happening. The questions people asked Cayce started changing, and the answers he gave began rewriting our understanding of human consciousness. In 1927, a distraught mother brings her 4-year-old son to Cayce. The boy has been screaming in his sleep about fire and smoke and men in blue coats shooting him. Under trance, Cayce reveals the child is remembering his death as a Union soldier at the Battle of Shiloh and gives the soldier's name, regiment number, and exact manner of death. When researchers check the military archives, every detail is confirmed. Then, in 1933, during reading 25467, Cayce drops the bombshell that would define his legacy. When asked how he retrieves this impossible information, he replies, "I see it written in God's Book of Remembrance, what you would call the Akashic Records." And then he does something unprecedented. He describes the records not as metaphorical, but as a living quantum field. Imagine a great crystal within which every thought, every deed, every intention of every soul is recorded as vibrational patterns, constantly shifting as consciousness evolves. This description, given in 1933, matches exactly what quantum physicists now call the zero-point field or holographic universe. But Cayce went further. In reading after reading, he gave specific, verifiable proof. Reading 29419, 1932, describes the records as vibrationally guarded, matching modern theories about quantum encryption. Reading 826-8, 1936, states the future exists as probable timelines identical to the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. Reading 3976-29, 1944, reveals thoughts literally write to the Akashic field, what physicists now call observer effect. This convergence of mysticism and quantum physics isn't coincidence, it's confirmation. And in our next episode, we'll show you how to apply Cayce's most guarded trance techniques, the same methods that produced these medical miracles and past life revelations. So, subscribe now and stay tuned. You'll learn the exact body posture from reading 29419 that triggers dimensional shift brainwave patterns, how to interpret the 3 symbolic languages the records use verified by CIA research, why your dreams after 3:33 a.m. may be direct Akashic downloads. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode.